our main speaker today. And to my left, we have Jenny Morris, our proposer of the vote of thanks. Now, the topic Jules is going to talk about today is quite unusual, and one that, unless you're an art student or even an artist yourself, you may not think about. Yes, you're quite right. It is the death of art that Jules is going to talk about today. And ladies and gentlemen, I know it's art, but don't go to sleep quite yet, as art is actually not that dull. So, let me tell you more about our team. Jules is from New Zealand, or as we like to call it, Middle Earth. And also studied in one of the most competitive cities, Singapore. Now living in New York, she has chosen to continue her education just up the road in Ardingly. Jules has spent the last 2 years studying art for her GCSEs and is part of the art digital community. Because of this background, art is an issue close to her heart, where she has learned a lot about. Our proposer of the vote of thanks also has something very special about her. This girl has traveled all the way down to England from Russia. And I have to say, Jenny has the perfect British accent. So, on behalf of our international team, I would like you all to invite Jules to tell us more about what has happened to art.
I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. I'll be completely honest with you all today. Before last October, I had absolutely no idea what newspeak was. And yes, showing great decision-making abilities, I still signed up. I needed to do some research. To cut a long story short, I didn't find Rotary Club, but an American organization. I know, an American version. There could be explosions on stage and supermodel spies standing by, but the picture was of a teenager standing on a stage, so I decided to click the link. And I heard someone begin to chant. And the description read slam poetry. And I quit the tab. Slam poetry is a modern idea, where there are these competitions for people to recite their own pieces of work, sometimes according to a theme, and are then solely judged by the audience. It says its goal is to challenge anyone who claims absolute authority over literary value. It challenges serious issues, experiments with different styles, and has a thriving youth movement. And I rejected all of that, simply because of the word slam. Slam. That's not traditional poetry. That's not proper. That's modern art. Unforgivable. One critic, Harold Bloom, described it as the death of art. And is he right? Is this true for all of art? Once art and science were equal. We had Leonardo da Vinci. We had mathematicians and philosophers, artists and scientists. Today, we students are told we are either creative or logical. It is impossible to be both. When it comes to choosing your career, the first question is usually, now are you an arts or a science person? And when someone picks a former, the general response is, good luck getting a job with that degree. I assure you, it's a very welcoming introduction to the rest of your life. Art is dying. It was shot mugged, stripped of all its rights and dignity, and left bleeding in a back alley somewhere. There is no respect, let alone success in art, according to the way that people talk and the media presents it. Blank canvases and one too many toilet seats that apparently aren't part of the bathroom. Yet, to be fair, it's true that art is completely changing today too. I won't lie, some of it is obscure. One time I was in an art museum and after looking around for some time, decided to sit down. I was nearly kicked out when it turned out my chair was actually part of the exhibit. Aside from that, look at fashion, look at music and lyrics, at performance pieces and portraits. With all the media available today, with the internet, with software, digital tablets and video games, more artists are being discovered by a wider audience. One living German artist, Gerard Richter, last year sold a painting for 26.4 million euros. Art museums too, if you ignore the fools who apparently can't recognize what art is, are hugely popular, with the Museum of Modern Art in New York receiving over 3 million visitors in 2010 alone. So, should we call it the time of death? Should we acknowledge all the attempts at resuscitation? Or should I explain why, in a speech where I've discussed modern art and slam poetry, I opened with Daffodils, a poem by William Wordsworth, first published in 1807. You see, when that poem was published, it bombed. It was criticized as being childish and trivial. Is this the only such example? What about Vincent van Gogh, whose post-impressionist works are still influential today? So let's be realistic here. Though it's true that with all the media available, some parts of art perhaps are still respected. But if you ignore those few celebrated artists, if you pardon the pun, society paints a poor picture of artists. Haven't I in my speech? Haven't you all in your daily lives? Art is dying, isn't it? Rasping painful breaths as spectators watch on in indifference. I say that's okay. Perhaps all we have are preserved 14-foot sharks, unmade beds, and splashes of paint on a canvas. All Vincent van Gogh had were sunflowers, his bedroom, and the starry sky above. Art is always dying, because all great things are only recognized after their demise.
Thank you, Jules. And may I now invite the audience to ask questions?
Thank you. Jules, you've talked about a dying art. And I wonder whether you could comment on whether we need art to entertain and communicate ideas to people.
Audience, sorry, do you mind repeating the question in a more simple way?
Yes, sorry. Art can be seen by people in different ways. And I wonder whether it's essential to have art to be able to communicate ideas to a much wider public.
Jules, do you think art's a good thing in community?
Logical things like science and maths, I think you can't really access your own emotions, you can't really explore who you are as a person in the same way. Art is incredibly useful because everyone sees something different in a piece of artwork. Even if it doesn't seem to make sense, everyone interprets it differently. And so that manages to communicate different things to everyone. And in a way, by learning more about yourself, it communicates to a wider audience, but it also communicates to you as an individual as well.
something new and quite different about art. Jules clearly has some strong opinions on art, and her speech backed up her views with some very good reasons. Like Jules, myself, I have never listened to slam poetry, and I don't intend on doing so in the future. However, this doesn't give me, or Jules, or any of you just discard it as a form of art. It's amazing how just one word, such as slam, put in front of another word, such as poetry, which is perfectly acceptable, can change your entire meaning and your attitude to the subject. I liked when Jules talked about sitting on a chair, which was a part of art in a museum. Audience laughed at this moment, which suggested that they found this art a bit ridiculous. And I did as well, to be honest. But this just emphasizes the point that art is no longer respected. And the question was, do we need art to communicate our messages and our inner thoughts? And I agree with Jules. I found her response very interesting, because I do believe as well, and like Jules said, that by art you can communicate your inner thoughts, which you can't communicate in many other ways. Jules gave a really bold and good statement, and it's really good considering that she's only 16 years old. So let's thank Jules for trying to make us think more about the ways in which we regard art and encouraging us to reconsider our perspectives. Thank you, Jules.
Thank you, Genya, and thank you very much again for listening. And I hope that you found Jules' speech interesting. And remember, art is actually not that dumb.